Ars Virtualization Lab Box construction video. Tonight we're actually going to do the actual construction of this. My system consists of an Apex DM317 case, an Asus M5A 78L-M LX Plus motherboard, and an Athlon II 455 triple core processor, as well as some other junk I picked up along the way. Oh right, 8 gigs RAM, yay. So, first things first, I'm going to get started on the actual building of the system. I've already posted a video of the unboxing, so let's take a look and see what needs to be done. So, this is the actual case itself. It's actually pretty nice, a nice HTPC size case. Let's pull the drive tray out and take a look. I already showed this in the previous video, but 5¼ bay, 3.5 inch bay, and a hard drive mount underneath, so you could put 2 hard drives in this unit and a CD-ROM drive and have it pretty functional. So let's take a look. Let's undo all this stuff in here. The elastic RAM. I'll save that for later though. Look at that. It's pretty well stocked. Wow, that's more connectors than I'll even need for a such a system. So let's put that aside. This side here. Let's see, what do I need to do for those front panels? It leaves that other one on, but the 5¼ plate has to go. Kind of going weird. Oh, I see it. Okay, that's cool. It's sort of got 2 tabs down in the center. Push them towards the other side, and I think, yep, there we go. And wow. Alright. Let's come off. Alright, so there was the issue. It had a little loop hooked up on a pin inside. They probably intended to take the front faceplate off and front panel off and then take this off. But I was easily enough be able to pull the tabs and pull this out and then pop this off on the inside and pull it out through the inside of the case. So I'll keep that somewhere other than the floor. Cage aside for now. So let's take a look at that. What do I want to do next? Yep. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's grab this side and take the hard drive, the drive tray. The first one I'm going to try, I'm going to go ahead and try the CDRW, which I used. I don't know if it actually works. In fact, I wasn't able to get it to power on in an external adapter, but I didn't have that adapter attached to, it was a USB adapter, so I don't know if it was actually working right. If not, I'll just use this one. Now, interesting. So it looks like here, there's screw holes in the bottom of the CD-ROM drives. You can see them right here, here. Now there's screw holes right here, so you can actually mount the drive solidly to it. There's nothing that goes up here, so it's, I could see that being maybe a little bit noisy, but I doubt it. What do we got for screws in here? Come on. Oh yeah, the case comes with like mounting feet, so you can mount it vertically. I'm not gonna even worry about it. Anyway. screwdriver go? Take my trusty extra large screwdriver here. I use. What? These are different screws. Oh, let's see. I swear I haven't had that much beer. Cheap screws not fitting the screwdriver well. There we go. So that's 1, 2. Now, I think, I just want to make sure I'm thinking correctly here. Yep. I'm going to mount the hard drive underneath instead of in the slot, so if I ever decide to get a card reader, something I won't need on a media center, something I won't need on a virtualization lab computer, but who knows, I might get one at some point. Oh, I see. It's got 2 little tabs sticking out so you can mount the hard drive. Put it right in the screw holes. And down there. There. The drives are now mounted. We'll put that aside. And let's turn our attention to the motherboard. Here's the motherboard. Asus M5A78L-M, blah blah blah. Big long ass name for socket AM3 Plus motherboard, cheapy. Like literally, it was one of the cheapest motherboards that's made by Asus. I love Asus, so but it didn't really cost a lot of money. I think it was like $50. So taking a look at this around myself, let's get that processor out here. Take that out. Now I like to mount the processors and RAM outside of the case, that way you can make sure you get a solid connection. It's more of a critical thing with an Intel system, but with AMD they still use the old school ZIF socket, so it's not as big of a deal when it comes in, well yeah, and the clip, so that it's not as big of a deal when it comes to mounting a processor fan. But whatever. Like the Intel ones have 4 push pins on either corner, so it's really, you want to get it in there and reef on it so that you can actually make sure it's solid. Let's see, mount that. Where's the fan connector? Make sure that it's nice and tight. Okay, so there we go. Let's try this. Get some clips in the right spot. So you know the CPU is already cleaned, so. And the fan's got its own. I never used this fan. This fan came with my Valueram 2 X3 1090T, which went into my bigger computer. Interesting. It's a tight fit. It's tighter than I was expecting. There we go. And in place. You should be able to lift it up with the processor afterwards. Or with the fan. So I'll wire that. I like to wire my cables underneath heat pipes or hooks or whatever is available in order to make sure that there's very little slack cable left over. Gives it a much tighter feeling on the board, so there's not as many loose cables. Now, the RAM. Let's pop this bugger open. And this is a really high density chip. I'm hoping this would work fine, and I've seen no indication online it won't. But it is above the motherboard's recommended RAM. However, the memory controller for these is built right into the processor, so AMD X3 processors, AMD Athlon II X3 processors in the Phenoms will take 8 GB single sticks, so at least from what I've seen. So taking a look at that, that looks pretty nice. Alright, so we have the case open and ready to mount the motherboard. I usually like tearing these open by puncturing it on the edge of the metal. You want to puncture your skin on the edge of the metal. That would be inadvisable. So let's make sure there's no tabs sticking down. I made that mistake before. Get a computer out on site to deliver and set up and find out that there's a metal tab sticking in the Ethernet jack. That was one of my new mistakes when I started McLean Micro. McLean Micro is the name of the company I used to work for here in St. John. Built most of their systems between 2008 to 2009, so in early 2009, so it was a blast actually. And now we get that in position. Usually there's little risers that'll mount the motherboard to the case, but here it's just got these little raised nubs. I'd prefer risers, but as long as it doesn't short out on the case. Otherwise I'm assuming the case manufacturer for a motherboard. Like literally it didn't come with anything for it. Doesn't have clearance anyway. Let's see. There we go. Now, screws here. I typically like to go over, kind of like putting bolts on your car. So over here, the furthest one to that, I usually like putting the first screw in a central location on the motherboard to keep the entire thing properly in place, and then go for the furthest screw hole away from you when you put the first screw in. So that one, furthest one to it is over here. The next one is down here at the bottom. And then the next one is up here at the top. There's 6 screws total. I've got the wires for the power supply in my finger's way here. Probably expecting there to be some size constraints in this because it's such a small board. In. And down here, careful don't drop the screwdriver or any screws. Well, I mean, you can pick the screws back up, but careful with the screwdriver because you could end up banging off components off the motherboard. It used to be a bigger deal than it is now, but I've seen a few boards die that way. I think I've only ever lost one myself that way. 2, but it was a very long time ago. Anyway, so there you go. Fully mounted to the case. Okay, I'm going to pause for a bit. I'm going to do some wiring, and I'll be right back. Alright, so she's all wired and put together. All I had to do was hook up the serial cables, hook up the audio and the USB cables in the front panel connector, PC speakers right here, and I had to make sure that they're all tightly tied up and bound together so there's no wires getting into the case fan up here, wires getting up here, and just all around not being a real big mess in the system. I also rotated this fan here about, was it 90 degrees I'm thinking? Yeah, 90 degrees this way so that the cable comes out on this corner in the back. That way I can neatly run it in behind instead of having it like go across the front. That way it's nice and you know, like airflow, whatever. So she's all put together. All that's left to do is plug her in and turn her on. I may as well do that now. Just got simple VGA on the, so it's not really a big deal. I don't really need that just yet. Oh, whatever. and my PS2 KVM. They still have uses. And test her up. She rides. I heard a post beep. There we go. So there we go. It's probably see it faster than I can. New CPU detected. Actually, it doesn't say what one it is, so I'm gonna run setup. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more customization in here, but the first thing I want to do is take a look. This is Athlon II X3 455. One thing about this motherboard is that it actually features core unlock. So here's this C profile. It's really very yeah, I'm not bothering with this crap. Yes. Alright. Easy flash. I want easy flash. Power. CPU configuration. There we go. Advanced clock calibration. All cores. Yep. Auto. Oh, that's just cool. Alright. Auto. So, let's get back out of that. Save. And see if she comes up. So now we're back in the BIOS after unlocking all 4 cores on here. Let's see what she says. There we go. AMD Phenom 2 X4 B55 processor. 33 megahertz, 3.3 gigahertz. Doesn't say anything about an L3 cache. It may not show that in the screen anyway, but it's not going to have any L3 cache on this processor anyway. Whatever. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some testing, and I'll come back with some results and show a little bit more of the system in action in part 3. So thanks for watching part 2, the construction of my virtualization box. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you folks later. Cheers!